Hey guys, welcome to the Front End podcast. As most of you are already aware, I'm sure the US presidential election has turned out to be a lot messier compared to normal times. But we hardly live in normal times anymore, do we? Now, even though we cannot really say with certainty right now who is going to come out ahead eventually once all the counting is done, one thing which is certain is that the old civility and orderliness of first world democracy in America is certainly dead. Trump has himself already promised to take the matter to the Supreme Court, alleging massive voter fraud, which has taken place and is still taking place, in fact, according to the Trump camp. And for their part, the Democrats have painted this entire thing as a dictator trying to stay on to power using, in their words, fascist methods. Obviously, both of these versions are probably exaggerations, and the truth is somewhere there in the middle. I mean, we don't really know which side is relatively more correct and which is relatively wrong here. But any which ways, I understand that most of you, like me, are probably at least leaning towards Trump. But at the end of the day, we kind of need to acknowledge that whatever the end result might be, it's not really going to, massively change things, because each country and its political actors are going to act in their own best interests, right? So if from a pragmatic point of view it makes sense for the US to try and get closer to India and have some kind of defense arrangement or alliance, which can keep a check on China's rise. So, and that is going to continue to happen either way, whether Biden becomes the president or Trump remains the president, right? So yeah, that's what it is. It is essentially a matter of pragmatism. The Indo-US alliance, more it's less about liberal values and democratic values and all of that other jazz which people talk about, and it's more about sheer realpolitik, sheer pragmatism. So as Indians, of course, we can kind of take a lot of lessons from what is happening in the US, and the way that this election is turned out, and everything in general which is going wrong there, in fact, right? So I think the first lesson which we can kind of talk about is the fact that the US is no longer the great democratic messiah of the world, which acts as a watchman and makes sure that nobody does anything wrong. In the years and decades to come, I think the US will likely keep turning inwards to try and solve its own internal social conflicts and internal strife. And this is going to happen simultaneously as the US's economic and geopolitical power decline. Maybe even its cultural power. Who knows, right? So what we can do is that we can prepare for this decline and make sure that we are in a position to take over some of the international space which is ceded by the US. I mean, to whatever extent that we can, because obviously there'll be other countries also looking to grab a piece of the pie, but I'm sure India can probably also get a piece of that, right? and and simultaneously what we can do is that we can try and make sure that we reduce the influence of western progressives and globalists who have had a huge role in pushing all sorts of cultural Marxist, social engineering type of propaganda and policies into our system. So we really need to try and make sure that if the US is declining, we use that opportunity to flush at almost all of it out, if we can, or at least as much as we can in that situation, right? And the other thing is that with the geopolitical and economic decline of the US, it won't be able to help us as much as many of us think right now, against the rise of China. So we really need to think hard about this, and we really need to be more pragmatic on this whole issue, and try to either come to some sort of arrangement with China, or some sort of understanding, right, about how the new world is going to function, where most probably for the coming few decades we are going to transition into a sinocentric world order, and maybe we can try and have like a peaceful understanding with the Chinese, and see if we can find a stable place within that order. And I know many of you will think that that's completely impossible, that China wants to destroy us and rip us apart. And of course, and then in that case, if a peaceful conciliatory approach is not going to be possible, then we need to make sure that we have alternative allies as well, not just alternative allies, but a supplementary coalition of regional powers and regional groups, which can help us stand against the Chinese threat, even if the US may not necessarily stand up for us always, with their entire military and geopolitical might, right? So, and another thing is that we need to take lessons from the US on where they kind of went wrong in trying to trying to suppress the rise of the hard left, in the sense that we need to know why they were not able to do it effectively, right? Or maybe they just didn't try enough. Either way, we need to make sure that this ideology does not blossom in our political system, because this hard left identity politics is really something which could tear us to shreds also, right? And I think one of the biggest defenses that we can have against this is to make sure that our religion and our traditional life and traditional norms, traditional family unit are safeguarded, so that people have some sort of meaning in life, they have something to value, to defend, to fall back on, right? Otherwise, if you have a society where everyone is an atomized dejected individual, then it's very easy for this kind of leftist identity politics to you know sweep through the land. So we need to really keep that in mind as well. And I guess that's it for this episode. So stay tuned for other videos, and if you've not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe, and do share. Maybe if you want, you can share this episode or other videos on this channel. So yeah, take care, goodbye.